The Middle East Solar Projects Overview. We're now going to take a look at a few different countries. We're looking at Jordan, we're looking at Southeast Asia, but we're really going to take a look also at, we've looked already at what's gone on in Morocco, a lot happening around the region, but to really bring you up to date with a few of other initiatives in different countries, I'm going to hand over now to the Secretary General of the Middle East Solar Industry Association. We're absolutely delighted he's here for the rest of the session. Wim Allen, thank you so much.
Good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving MESIA the opportunity to present its solar outlook for 2017. Thank you so much. Okay, so before starting off with 2017, let's first have a look at what happened in 2016. So in 2016, we started off with the expectation of a tariff around 6 cents, which was then, let's say, the world record tariff in the region. It was bid for on the DEWA Phase 2 project. Now 2016 was thereafter characterized by a couple of elements which were extremely favorable for the development of renewables and solar PV in particular. Two things happened. On the one hand, we saw continuous dropping prices for the equipment. Panel prices came down, mainly driven by the pipeline in China drying up all of a sudden towards the mid of the year, and also, let's say, continuous improvements on, for example, the inverter side, and also the scalability of projects leading to lower pricing. Now, one particular element which needs to be noted as well is that due to, let's say, so much money being put into the system worldwide through quantitative easing, there was a lot of abundant money available worldwide. And that's an important point in the sense that if you look or compare a conventional project with a solar project, you will see that the cost of funding for a renewable project, and solar in particular, has approximately double the impact on the tariff compared to a conventional project. And the reason is that you pay your fuel upfront, meaning like you harvest and you pay for the sun upfront, no further fuel cost down the road, but that means that the cost of funding has a tremendous impact on the final tariff. This led to, let's say, world record tariffs in the region. Wherever we look, like the DEWA Phase 3 project, the Shuayan project in Abu Dhabi, but also the Nord 4 project in Morocco, led to world record pricings. And it was not only in our region that we saw this happening, it happened all over the world. We saw similar kind of evolutions in Chile, in Mexico, in the west of the United States. And this also had an impact on the policy setting. For example, Egypt came into the market in 2014 with a quite high feed-in tariff, give or take around 14 cents. And subsequent to all of these evolutions, they lowered that tariff to 8 cents or 8.4 cents. What we also have seen is that the Shams Dubai program for rooftop PV is kicking off. So we saw like 6 to 7 megawatt being installed throughout the year. And we expect in 2017 this market to further evolve up to a level of 60 to 70 megawatts. Key projects are well underway. The key ones are Nord 2 and 3 in the CSP sector in Morocco, Jordan Round 2, of course, and then DEWA Phase 2, which is bound to be commissioned by April this year. Then the outlook, and that's always a difficult one because by default any kind of projection we make today is a little bit outdated by the time that you show them on screen, and it's no different here. And speaking with different people during the conference or during WFES already makes that this is going to be revised shortly. But what do we see happening? By 2020, on a continuous basis, around 70 gigawatt of solar will be installed worldwide, meaning that there is a tremendous opportunity between now and 2020 on the PV module side. So we see a market of around $6.5 to $7.5 billion. Similarly, for the EPC side, which means the top-up or the balance of system and the likes, we see a market of $4.5 to $5 billion. So that this is just a massive opportunity for everyone who's active in the industry. What we do see as well is like a cumulative growth of 8.1% for the solar PV market between now and 2020. Of course, the large-scale and industrial projects will still heavily dominate the market. We think somewhere between 65 to 70%. There will be a few exceptions where rooftop PV will take a significant or an important part of the market, which is Dubai, Jordan, and Palestine. From a technology point of view, we think that polycrystalline and monocrystalline will remain the main kind of technologies that will be adopted throughout the region. And based on, let's say, the projections made together with Frost and Sullivan, we think that that's going to be around 90% of the market. Now, the question is always like, will reality surpass our dreams or our projections? So what I wanted to do is to give you a brief overview as well of those projects which are currently in the system. So the projects for 2017 are somewhat smaller than the ones we have seen in 2016. Dewa Phase 3 was more than 800 megawatts. Schweihan is currently, let's say, growing to the final stages and is around 1.2 gigawatts project. So, but what do we see elsewhere in the region then for 2017? So we have the feed-in tariff in Egypt. So the plan is to close up to 2 gigawatts of projects. Then we have the upcoming tender in Jordan for 200 megawatts, which will be split in 4 phases of 50 megawatts. In Morocco, we will have the Midelt project, which is a hybrid one. So it's an interesting one. So it's going to be a mix of both PV and CSP. And then in Oman, OPWP is in the process of appointing, let's say, the advisors to make the feasibility study, which means that from a Messiah perspective, we expect them to go to market with a 200 megawatt project by the end of this year, highly likely to be a PV project. And then last but not least, in Saudi Arabia, things will start off soon. By the end of February, bids are due for the Al Juf Rafah project. And as it has been announced by the Minister of Energy, there is another 300 megawatt to follow by the end of this year. Now, this is just to give you an idea of those projects which are imminent, which are in the system, and which are fairly well known in the market. But when we look at all of the opportunities today, we see a market of around 5 gigawatts in solar PV for 2017. Similarly, for what's CSP is concerned, what do we see in the market? So we have TAQA CSP, which is likely to be tendered for 250 megawatts in Egypt. There's the West Nile project again in Egypt for 100 megawatts. In Morocco, we see the Midelt project, again the Massen one, which is a hybrid one. There is, of course, Dubai CSP, tendered by Dewa, which is a project of 200 megawatts. It's open to tower technology only. And then last but not least, there is also the Al Abdaliyah project, which is an integrated solar combined cycle project, so 220 megawatt of combined cycle, together with 60 megawatts of parabolic trough to be used as a booster. So again, when we look at the whole market together for CSP across the MENA region, we see again close to 5 gigawatt of projects be announced. So which means that if you just combine PV and CSP, we are looking at a pipeline across MENA of close to 10 gigawatts. Maybe a few words then on Messiah and our calendar for 2017. So we are working on our solar outlook report, which is due to be issued by mid-February. So it means that we will present you with more details on all of the projects that I mentioned and those, let's say, in the early stages of development. But for the first year, we will also concentrate on battery storage and electric vehicles. So we are going a little bit beyond our traditional scope because we see that there is going to be more and more focus on, let's say, hybrid solutions being PV combined with battery storage. EV, electrical vehicles are a little bit, let's say, of a strange animal maybe, but we see also merely, let's say, an interest from the market for us to focus on that one. We'll organize technical sessions throughout the year, so we will be focusing at least on one financial section as to deal with the challenges of project financing deals. And then last year we organized a trade mission to Jordan, which was very well received by all of our members. This year we are planning at least one to Pakistan and to Saudi Arabia, especially in view of the extremely ambitious target of Saudi Arabia to install and have commissioned 10 gigawatt of projects by 2023. And then something which is open to our members and open for discussion is that they would like us to expand our mission beyond the traditional MENA region. So people would like us to go also into the sub-Saharan territory, which means that we might consider a trade mission to Kenya. So if people are interested, let's say, to know a little bit more about MESIA, so I invite all of you to visit our website, which is www.mesia.com, or to get in contact with our events manager, which is Micheline, she's around here, or with Paulette Herbert. So I think I still have a little bit of time, so I would like to open the floor for questions.
Good morning. Thank you for a good presentation. Just a question about the project which is mentioned, the price is 2.4 cents per kilowatt. I understand this is not the quotation. There is a two price, one for the winter, one for the summer, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed, so you're right. So if you look at the tariff which has been announced and which was released in the press, you have a tariff of 2.42 cents. But it's actually a weighted tariff, which means that the way ADWEA and ADWEC presented it is by weighting the tariffs against the tariffs of the other bidders by using the installed capacity. So it means that if you levelize or use or were to translate the tariff of ADWEA and ADWEC using the same metrics as DEWA did, you get to a tariff which is in the same kind of range. So you're getting closer to the 3 cents tariff.
Jeff Robinson. Thank you for such a great summary. It was really useful and to put it all on one page, on a couple of pages, very, very helpful. Could you just maybe take an opportunity to just tell us a little bit more about your association, who the members are, what kind of activities you have, just for the people in the room?
Okay, very well. More than happy to do that. So MESIA is the Middle East Solar Industry Association. So our main goal is actually to promote the solar industry throughout the region. It all started off, let's say, in the Middle East, but as time passed by, we expanded, let's say, our activities also into North Africa. What is it that we do? We try to promote solar at different levels. So it means that we try to meet with, let's say, the regulators, try to promote solar. We try to explain to them, let's say, what has been done in the region, but also on a global level, to the extent that they are open to it. We help them, let's say, explaining as to what might be the most appropriate framework to jumpstart solar in their countries. So it's an open invitation to authorities to work with us. And I think it's a good platform because if you then look at our members, who do we have in our portfolio? We have close to 150 members. And it goes all across the industry. It goes from developers over EPC contractors, original equipment manufacturers, whether it's panel suppliers or inverter suppliers. We have as well, let's say, legal firms, which are quite often advisors to either the sponsors or the government in our membership pool. And we also have a number of banks which are there, which also help us explaining how project financing can best be organized for these type of deals.
Hello. Sir, I am from Pakistan and working as an electrical design engineer in Ajman. So you, in your last slide, I have seen the name Pakistan, your plans for Pakistan. So can I ask about the proposals and projects about the Pakistan which you have in the 2017? Can you enlighten them?
Okay, very well. So we organized a small trade mission to Pakistan about 2 years ago when, let's say, the feed-in tariff regime was launched. Now, in the meantime, the Pakistani authorities have gone through some revisions of the framework, and therefore, let's say, quite a few of our members have actually asked us to organize a new trade mission to make sure that, let's say, all of the developers and other stakeholders can have face-to-face time with the authorities as to see, like, okay, what's the plan? What are, let's say, the projects that they see upcoming, let's say, under the feed-in tariff regime? What would it take for developers to finally secure their letters of interest, and what would then be the next steps? Because the project, or let's say the projects and the feed-in tariff got launched, let's say, in a very official way, but on the way it lost a little bit of traction. And what we are trying to do is to make sure that we regain momentum together with the Pakistani authorities and to make sure that the program gets sufficient attention. No more questions? Okay, very well. So I would like to thank all of you for giving us the opportunity of being here today. And I would also like the opportunity now to introduce our next speaker, who is going to talk more in particularly about the opportunities in the Jordanian market. Thank you so much. Thank you.